Welcome to Serenity in You. This is Shira, and today I want to take you into a journey inward, a journey where you will learn how to stop fighting with yourself, how to release the constant inner tension that keeps you from hearing your true self. Because the truth is, resistance is not outside of you. It is not in your job, your relationships, or your circumstances. It lives in the quiet spaces of your own mind, in the part that still believes things must go a certain way before you can feel better. You see, so much of our suffering doesn't come from what happens, from the endless resistance to what happens. We tell ourselves, this shouldn't be happening. I should feel different by now. I should have healed already. And with every should, we close the door to peace just a little more. Resistance hides in the smallest moments, in the way you rush through your morning without taking a breath, in the quiet judgment you feel toward your own emotions, in the thoughts that says you need to fix yourself before you can love yourself. It's sneaky. It disguises itself as responsibility, control, even discipline. But underneath, there's always that subtle vibration, a tension that says, something's wrong with me as I am. I am not okay. And that's the vibration that keeps you tired, keeps you restless, keeps you running in circles while peace patiently waits for you to stop. So, what if you could stop, even for a few seconds, and just notice the way you resist life? Not to judge it, not to label it, not to fix it, but simply to see it. So take a deep breath right now. Feel the air entering your body. Feel how your chest expands, how your shoulders drop, how your body softens. Nothing to change, nothing to control. Just allowing this moment to be exactly what it is. And this, right here, is the beginning of surrender. And surrender is not a sign of weakness. You're not surrendering to anyone else. You're just releasing the ego's need to control, which creates inner peace and allows you to respond to life with greater clarity and power. Imagine someone waking up one morning with a heavy feeling. They don't know why, but they immediately start fighting it. Why do I feel like this again? I thought I was over this. They meditate, but their mind races. They try to think positively, but it feels fake. They end up exhausted because the more they resist the feeling, the louder it becomes. Now imagine another person, same morning, same heaviness, but instead of fighting it, they whisper, okay, this is what's here right now. They breathe and allow the emotion to move through their body like a wave that just wants to be felt. They don't call it sadness or anxiety, they simply listen. And the moment they stop fighting, something shifts. The energy starts to move. The heaviness begins to melt. Not because they forced it to, but because they allowed it. That's how surrender begins. Not by trying to be peaceful, but by stopping the war within yourself. The mind will try to convince you that acceptance means giving up, but it's actually the opposite. When you stop resisting, you stop leaking energy. You stop giving power to what you don't want. You become open, open to intuition, to guidance, to the natural flow of life. Acceptance doesn't mean you approve of everything that happens. It means you stop arguing with reality. Because every time you argue with what is, you suffer twice. Once from the event itself, and again from your refusal to let it be what it already is. When you accept what is, life starts moving again. Energy begins to flow and you become lighter, not because your circumstances changed, but because you stopped holding them so tightly. So, as you continue listening, let this be your quiet intention. I allow life to move through me. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to control it. You just have to allow it. So, before I begin, if these words already touched something inside you, take a moment to pause, breathe in, and type in the comments, I am ready to stop fighting with myself. Because your words are energy, and the moment you speak your intention into the world, you begin to reprogram the subconscious part of you that has been waiting for your permission to rest. And let this be your first step today to recognize that peace doesn't come from doing more, but from doing less, actually. It doesn't come from trying to control your thoughts, but from allowing them to rise and fall like waves on the shore. When you stop forcing life to be different, you discover something extraordinary. Life was never against you, it was always waiting for you to soften so it could finally flow through you. And that's where surrender begins, not at the end of the fight, but the moment you realize you never had to fight at all. When the noise quiets down, when you stop trying to fix, explain, or escape what you feel, something very subtle begins to happen. You start to hear you, not the mind that shouts in words, but the quiet intelligence that speaks in silence. It's not a voice that argues or convinces. It doesn't rush. It simply knows. It's the same presence that helps a wound heal, that turns sunlight into growth, that beats your heart without asking for your permission. It's life itself speaking through you, waiting for you to listen. When you resist life, you block that voice. You can't hear intuition while you're trying to survive your emotions. You can't hear truth while you're arguing with what's already true. It's true. Why argue with that? It's the past. Why argue with what already happened? You can change the past. But when you stop and breathe, when you create even a small pause between thought and reaction, you begin to notice a new dimension inside you, a quiet, spacious awareness that simply watches everything unfold. It watches the anger without becoming angry. It feels the fear without becoming afraid. It witnessed the pain without collapsing into it. Because you are becoming the observer of your feelings and thoughts. That's the real you, not the thoughts, not the stories, not their reactions, but the awareness behind them. When you listen to that space, you start to see how temporary everything else is. Emotions rise and fall like waves. Thoughts come and go like passing clouds. Even your strongest feelings, the ones that once defined you start to lose their grip. And you realize you are not your moods, you're not your past, you are not the voice that tells you who you should be. You are the stillness that remains when everything else changes. And from that stillness, you begin to make choices that align with who you truly are. Not from fear, not from guilt, not from trying to prove your worth, but from a natural place of inner knowing. So many people try to find peace by rearranging the outside world. They change jobs, partners, houses, even identities, but nothing truly shifts until they learn to sit quietly and meet the truth of their inner space. When you finally listen to yourself, you stop searching for validation in others. You stop chasing certainty. And you know, in most cases, we don't even know that we're doing all this stuff to search validation until we actually sit and listen to and ask ourselves, why are we actually doing this? You stop trying to make everyone understand you because you understand you, and that understanding becomes your peace. Imagine your thoughts are leaves floating on water. Each thought appears, drifts for a while, and disappears downstream without you doing a thing. You don't need to chase the leaves or stop them or label them. You're the river, vast, fluid, and free. And by the way, I have a meditation just like that of letting go, and I will put it in the description below. So, moving on, every time you observe a thought without reacting, you strengthen that inner peace. You train your awareness to stay open even when emotions rise. And slowly, your nervous system begins to trust that you can feel deeply without being consumed by what you feel. So sometimes the guidance of your inner self is very simple. It may whisper, rest, or breathe, or don't speak right now, just listen. These gentle impulses are not random. They come from the same intelligence that moves the stars, the same intelligence that has carried you through every moment you thought you couldn't survive. So trust it. You will train yourself to trust it. It knows your path more deeply than your mind ever could. So, acceptance is not a passive act, nor is it giving up. It is a conscious choice to meet life exactly where it is. It is being in the present moment, to open your arms to the moment without trying to rearrange it, without needing it to match a story in your mind about how things should be. Imagine for a moment that you are walking down the street and you see your ex boyfriend or girlfriend holding hands with someone new. A surge of jealousy rises, a tight knot of anxiety coils in your chest, and immediately the mind begins to defend, justify, or compare. Why them and not me? Did I fail? Am I less enough? Every thought is a push against reality. But when you pause and recognize the pattern, you realize something simple yet profound. The situation unfolding before your eyes is not an attack, it is not a judgment, it is not about you. at all. It is not about if it is fair or not fair. It is not about karma. It simply is. By taking a slow breath and saying inward, this happened, and since it happened, I choose to remain calm, you release the compulsion to defend yourself. In your mind or in front of these people, you no longer need to prove that your life is better or worse than theirs. You no longer need to spin mental comparisons or imagine alternate timelines. And all that mental noise begins to dissolve naturally, allowing your inner space to expand and soften. So basically, what you want is to accept that there are things that you can't control. 99% of things you can't control. You can't control what life brings you, but you can control how you respond to them, and that's it. That's, if you understand this, if you know this, then you understand everything. Acceptance works the same way in many aspects of life. Perhaps you live in a smaller home while a friend enjoys a larger space, or your income is more modest while others around you earn much more. Your mind may whisper judgments, feelings of inadequacy, or quiet envy, but those whispers are just echoes of resistance. When you pause, breathe, and recognize that these differences exist without threatening your own value, you reclaim the only thing you ever had control over: your own response, your own emotions, your own peace. Life continually presents situations that trigger comparison, judgment, fear, etc., etc. And each moment is a choice to resist or to release. The moment you notice that you have the impulse to argue with life, the moment you say, I see this as it is and I choose calm, you break free from the matrix. Actually, you break free from the invisible chains that resistance creates. You discover a quiet freedom in simply allowing things to be exactly as they are. Acceptance doesn't deny your feelings. It does not pretend that pain, disappointment, or longing do not exist. Instead, it creates a gentle space to feel fully without reacting unconsciously. You may feel jealousy, frustration, sadness, a more negative feelings, you may call them, and that is perfectly natural. The body and mind simply expressing themselves, but you can witness these feelings as passing clouds, knowing that they do not define you, they are not you, they do not control you, and that you are more vast than any emotion wave that arises. Meaning, you don't dwell in the emotions, you let them go, you feel them and let them go. They, they are passing like clouds. Even the most challenging circumstances, like seeing a partner leave, losing a job, or facing unexpected obstacles, are opportunities to practice this art of non resistance. You are not required to act immediately, to fix, or to retaliate. Simply pausing and allowing the reality of the moment to exist without judgment. This is itself a profound act of liberation. So maybe take a breath now and imagine a situation in your own life that has been triggering inner tension. See it as it is, without editing, without justification. Acknowledge it fully and then allow the simple thought, it happened. It already happened, and since it already happened, I choose to remain calm. So I would love if you write me in the comments if you feel a small shifts, if you feel a little softer. Okay, so this practice does not happen all at once. It unfolds gradually, moment by moment, choice by choice. Each time life presents a situation that would normally provoke resistance, each time a comparison, a fear, or a longing arises, you have the opportunity to breathe and respond differently. Not with suppression, not with denial, not with forced positivity or affirmations, etc., but with quiet, conscious acceptance. And with every acceptance, you discover something extraordinary. The moment you stop fighting life, life stops fighting back. The energy that once felt heavy and suffocating begins to move again. The mental storms calm, and your heart softens, and in this simple recognition you begin to taste the freedom that has always been available. If you resonated with this video this far, I will appreciate it if you push the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.